Well, hello from Hopalong Hollow. It's been about a month since I've been able to post anything on the interior of the greenhouse due to unforeseen circumstances, but I would like to take you inside today and see the finished greenhouse inside. So before we go inside the greenhouse, I want to take you back about 3 weeks ago when I was actually building the shelves in here and give you an idea of how that was done. Greetings from Hopalong Hollow. As you can see, we are back inside the greenhouse and I'm doing a lot of work inside. I am building some shelving here at the front, and what you're looking at here is a vintage washstand, probably from the early 1900s. It's in pretty rough shape. My friend Nancy gave it to me for the purpose of putting it back together and putting it in this greenhouse to use. And I do have a really great use for it. So today I'm going to restore it and get the little doors back on, get the shelf in and the top, and maybe put some very beautiful stain on it. Well, okay, I've got it all put back together again. This little Edwardian washstand. And it's rather on the simple side, which is exactly what I want. The finish on it is pretty ugly. So I'm going to sand it down. It does have the other door. Once upon a time, I believe it had a drawer, but I'm just going to put a bottom in that and use it as a shelf for storing hand tools or maybe just books. And sand it down and then add a coat of kind of a reddish, maybe a mahogany stain on it to bring some warmth. And not physical warmth, but atmospheric warmth into this greenhouse, because I've got the white and I've got the green, and those are very cool colors. Now I want to warm this place up with a little bit of more color, because I don't have any plants in it yet. All cast iron sink that I also acquired last year from Nancy, and I'm just going to clean it up. I'm going to set it right on top of that washstand. Zoom up to the present, and here we are outside the door of the greenhouse, and let's take a look and see what was done. So my first project in here was creating the shelving on either end of the long sides of the greenhouse. And I started out by creating this one, which is pretty nice, about 9 feet long. I did it with slats so that the water can drip through from the seed trays. And I did I'd say a pretty little scalloped design on it. And then I also used a stencil to do some decorating, which I followed throughout the entire greenhouse. The colors in here are sort of a mahogany red and moss green, and of course the white. The point of the shelving is to get as many seed trays as I can in here. And according to my calculations, if I'm using these modules, I can get about up to 24 trays along this edge on this side of the greenhouse on my shelves, just on this bottom shelf. Now we're not doing any seeds, so I'm just storing other things on top. And we don't have many plants going on in here either, just a few little pansies up there, which the peacocks got into the other day in the garden. And then we've got some succulents just to keep them from freezing outside. And I brought in some greenery because I need some Christmas atmosphere in here. I haven't done anything in the house yet. I've been so terribly busy doing other things. But there's lots of shelving in here, and that's the point, just to get as much shelving as I can, so I can get as many little plants going as possible. So on this end, like as I said, I've got the slats, and underneath this are 2 twin banana boxes. These are old antique banana boxes that I've had for about 30 years, but they're great for storing. These are cloches, wire cloches, supplies. Probably get a lot of plastic buckets in there. I've got my toolbox here, another banana box right here, more cloches, and plant protectors and the bulbs that I haven't planted yet, which I better get busy and do that. They're all over the place. So that's a great space underneath. I could store anything I wanted. Then I've got this great little chair. Couldn't fit much of a chair in here, but I could get this little old folding church chair that I had hanging around, and it fits beautifully under the table. And it's actually a lot more comfortable than it looks. I'd say with cushion on it, it should be a pretty nice chair to sit on. Now let's take a look at the little washstand that got finished. I found these great little knobs here that are just perfect for the colors I'm using here. And it's got some good storage in it. As you can see, there's plenty of room for all my paraphernalia that I don't want showing. And then I was able to build a little bookshelf here, which holds quite a few paperback books. And then the repeat design of the stencil on the little cast iron sink. Now the little cast iron sink I will likely simply use to put plants, potted plants in, because it isn't meant to actually be a working sink. But I wanted to put it to use somewhere, and I just think it's really, really sweet. So now let's go up and see what's over here. Now these are metal shelves that were some more salvage that I had from some kind of shelving that I used to take to art shows with me, but it was dismantled and I had two of them left over. So there's one here and then adjacent to it, but one level down is another. And since I don't really have any plants to put on at the moment, just some cedar, a wooden bird, a little oil can full of rosemary, and berries from the crepe myrtle tree. These garlands are utilizing the money plants that I grew last year, the allium, the dried alliums. This is ivy from the yard. And I believe there might be some holly in here too. Oh, I've got to get my little clock going. This is a... It's really not 6 o'clock, but this doesn't keep very good time. This tiny little clock is a Lux clock, and they were a popular novelty in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, and I have a whole collection of these little clocks, but this is the only one that actually works, and they only run for about 6 hours. This one, I paid the most money for, and I just cannot get it to keep ticking. Miniature cuckoo clock. Look at that little bird. The problem with this clock is it just won't go for very long. They're so sensitive, but they were novelty clocks. And this one, if it ticks for more than an hour, I will be surprised. But I just think it's a darling. So as you can see, there's a lot of shelving here. Here's another shelf that I used the old corbels that we had. Everything here was salvaged. This is an old spindle from an old porch spindle. I made all the pickets for the fence here in the potager with these spindles, but I still had some leftovers. Here's the other corbel. I painted them a deep hunter green. This is beadboard from the house restoration when we did that. And this is another good shelf, which will probably hold a lot of trays. And over here, another little shelf, just made with wood that was lying around, and I was able to find some interesting little cast iron shelf brackets here. Now let's go over back to the sink, which is super handy for collecting twines. Probably could hang some tags here, plant tags, all sorts of things like that, of that nature. And over on the other side, I also used a slatted shelf, but I wanted to change colors. I didn't want everything in here to be this green. I needed something to make it pop. So I used a lot of this kind of a deep, I think it's kind of a magnolia color. It's the same stain I used on the washstand. It just turned out a little bit different on these pine boards, but I like the way that that made this room sort of pop a little bit better. Now this one is completely different because it is actually being supported by one of the old washstands. And the washstand is very, very important because this is full of my potting mixes. And this metal, cast metal thing here, lifts up. I can just set it on the ground when I want to do some potting and fill my seed trays from this. And this also extends so through the entire wall. I brought a tiny little feather tree in here and only decorated it with little candles. The problem is, and candle holders, the only problem is, I didn't have any more birthday candles to put in here, so I need to find some. And then we have another shelf above this one and right beneath the window. Now I've discovered that this is such a great thing to have the greenhouse attached to the house with windows, because I noticed on a couple days when it got real hot in here, I open these windows and I have instant ventilation, which is pretty darn good because I didn't put any ventilation in here yet. I've got plenty of time to do that. There's a long time before spring gets here. So this has been a really handy shelf, and it's great to have those windows there looking right into the Hopalong Hollow Emporium room and our pantry and our laundry room back there. And then again, I found another bit of salvage. This is some more metal pieces from shelving. I had 2 of those, so that was convenient. So it is a match on either side, all the way across, and yet again, above that, one more handy shelf, which doesn't have anything on it yet, and probably will just be holding extra pots and containers, because I'll have to get on a ladder to get up there. Now here is another corbel. This is the same corbel that we have on our house, and here were the other 2, because I had found 4 corbels, and they became very useful as shelf holders. Now if you don't have corbels, they're super easy to make out of 2x4s. These little corbels here, if you look at the side of it, it's simply a piece of a 2x4. I drew the design on it and cut it with my jigsaw. I made probably 6 of these to hold the shelving. What else shall I show you? Oh, there's so much storage underneath. And if I wanted more shelves, I probably could put a couple more shelves here. Don't really need them right now. This is potting soil, more tulip bulbs. I am so late always getting my tulips in, and I wanted to incorporate that into this video, but it's been raining all day, so we won't be planting these bulbs. I'm always late with my bulbs. Almost always get my bulbs in late December or January, but you know, it never seems to make a difference. But I can't wait to plant these with you, because I want to do a lot of these right here in the potager looking out of the greenhouse. I'll be able to see those, and we'll be able to have a nice, wow, that little clock is still going. We'll be able to have a nice view into the greenhouse with all those tulips surrounding it. So here we have lots of little succulents that were starting to freeze outside. And oh, they're doing a little bit better in here, but I don't know. This one looks pretty sick. And then I'm trying once again with African violets, which has been a real disaster for me in the past. Every day, if it's cold in here, I just bring these back into the house. But eventually, they'll be able to stay out here for several months. And then here in the corner, we have a terrarium. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that yet. But you know, there's just so much space, so much room in this. It's just, like I said, a 7x9 greenhouse. It's just holding a lot. And naturally, I don't have any plants in here yet, but I think everything will fit in here beautifully. For now, I was just trying to fill my shelves up and make it a little more decorative. So it's just really, really nice being in here. And oh, you see, that little clock stopped already. I feel like getting a clock repair book and learning how to do these clocks over the winter because we have so many antique clocks that just don't work. But the cafe lights here came from Lowe's. They were just $24 for 12 lights. I wouldn't mind having one more string to put up there so that I could come in here in the evening and work. But, well, here it is. This is the greenhouse. Oh, there's more. Here we have this great little metal bee hook that holds my old funny apron. So, sorry you had to wait so long to see the interior of the greenhouse, but I think I mentioned in my community post we had a problem with a water heater which was leaking all over the floor, and we ended up replacing an entire floor, and that took quite some time. So, this is it. I'm trying to get as many views of it as I can so you can see the whole scope. It's so cozy in here. It's in a completely different atmosphere in here than my herbarium, which is kind of dark and mysterious. But here, it's just filled with light, and it feels like a wonderful place. It's going to be a wonderful place to be working in. So, I will be doing a few cooking and Christmas videos here in the very near future. And we will be planting all these wonderful bulbs. We've got fritillarias and alliums and oh wait, gosh. I know I've got 1,000 tulips. Used 1,000 tulips. And little blue, what are they? I don't remember. It's been so long since I bought them. It's a good thing they're being stored here where it's nice and cold. Well, I hope that this greenhouse has inspired you a little bit. If you were here with me from the very beginning, you know that I built this entirely by myself using salvage windows, salvage doors, salvaged wood, salvaged almost everything. Now, I did have to buy 2x4s, and of course a lot of screws and hardware and that sort of thing, and of course the roofing. But I will tell you that I probably didn't spend more than $400 to build the greenhouse. Not counting everything I already had, because I've had the windows for years, but those are so easy to come by. And of course the antique door, that was probably quite a few $100s many years ago. Here it is. But all in all, it was a lot less expensive than buying a kit or having a greenhouse built for me. So, from Hopalong Hollow, thank you for coming along on this little adventure of mine. Yuck. That's not very attractive. I have to camouflage those cords. So, from Hopalong Hollow, this is Sherry, and we'll see you very soon with a couple Christmas videos. In the meantime, watch my old Christmas videos, because I've got a lot of them. In fact, I will even link them down below, so you can watch those too. So from Hopalong Hollow, we'll see you in about a week. Bye-bye.